This is the Rebel Scum Podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/RebelScumPodcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
You're always scum. Rebel scum.
I never made a deal with Conja Club.
Tell that to Conja Club.
All right. Tell that to Conja Club. It's been a while, James, and we have a special guest, Desi, one of our favorite people, is on the show today to talk about what is it when a ship goes away? It's not a maiden voyage anymore.
It has gone into dry dock.
There we go, dry dock. I was like, is it an old maid voyage? I don't know. But you were one of the lucky few to go on the Starcruiser on like when did you go? The last 2
I went
weeks?
the last weekend, so the last Saturday, Sunday cruise.
Nice. But had you been on it before?
No, I hadn't. Because it is pretty expensive, but as an annual pass holder, I was waiting for them to release the annual pass holder discounts because I figured that was coming at some point.
Yeah.
As soon as they announced annual pass holder discounts, I started getting people together. I had 2 other people ready to go. We were looking for a 4th. And then they announced it's closing completely. And by the way, we're not going to give anybody annual pass holder discounts. If you want one of these cruises, you have to pay full price.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But so you were planning on going before you heard it was shut down then, or closing down?
Yeah. Okay. So I was talking with my travel agent about it, and I was like, we need to find a 4th person unless you want to be our 4th. And she's like, actually.
Oh, really?
No way.
So my travel agent wound up being the 4th woman in our room. So
and your
4
travel agent is
crazy ladies.
And it's Daisy Ridley as your travel agent, which was wild also.
No. She wound up, her character was she was the Queen of Bespin.
Oh, okay. And you, of course, you came up with, you told us right before we started recording, one of the most unique Star Wars names you could have.
It was so bad. I felt like I was put on the spot. I didn't realize until I got there how into it everybody was going to be. I brought Mon Mothma outfits and First Order outfits thinking I'm probably going to be the crazy one. I'm going to stick out. No. I look completely normal compared to some of these people. There was somebody in full Cad Bane costume, blue face, everything.
Wow.
There were multiple Twi'leks. Like, people went all out for this. And so the first time a cast member asked me what my name was, I said, Desi. And he's like, that's it? And I was like, Captain Desi? Because I have
a high rank.
I had on my First Order outfit.
I don't know.
So I had the hat on, the gray cape.
I'd argue that's a good name. That feels like a Star Wars name where it's like that kind of sounds like a normal name, but then also has an exotic vibe to it. You know what I mean? Where like we live in a galaxy where there's like Cad Bane, and Luke. Like it's just like I like it. I think your name works great.
You could also like do it like in a Star Wars spelling too, with like a D apostrophe.
That's true.
Yeah. Like
I should have done like
totally
D
get away with it.
apostrophe ZI, something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Bam. Now you're Star Wars. Where's your action figure?
I did actually have an artist create me an action figure, so I'll have to tweet that later.
Is that on Walmart? Can you get that at Walmart?
I don't think you can get it at Walmart, unfortunately. But yeah, shout out to Adam Chickling.
Nice. What was it like in the rooms? Like, well, I mean, I feel like we've heard this, but like, what was your experience sleeping in a room? Because I heard it's tight.
I had heard that it was tight, but I had also been on multiple cruises before. So when I got in there, I was like, this isn't tight at all compared to like a cruise ship cabin. This is spacious. We had 4 women in there. Each of us got our own bed. One of my aunts got the large queen size bed. I got the top bunk. My other aunt got the bottom bunk. And then my friend, who was our travel agent, got kind of like this twin size bunk that was like a Murphy bed that pulled down. And it was fine. It was spacious. The bathroom was huge. So that was completely different than going on a cruise ship. Plenty of room. I didn't find any problem at all. And we hardly spent any time in the room anyway. But while we were in the room, they did have kind of like an AI droid assistant where we could talk with her, interact with her, and she'd be able to tell us about things that were going on in the ship, give us some advice. So it was really cool and interactive. And even at night, she's like, "Would you like to hear a bedtime story?" And we said, "Yes, we would like to hear a bedtime story." And she basically laid out the whole Star Wars saga for us. So
no way.
Yeah.
And then it started like
did
the story start with like how Hu Yang was like in a galaxy far, far away sort of thing?
Yeah, actually. So it started out like that. And because I was with the First Order and everybody else was with the Resistance, the AI droid assistant, D3, she started telling the story to them and definitely had like a Resistance vibe to it. So I was like, So I went to go take a shower and I came back and she was still telling them the story. It was a really long bedtime story.
Wow. That's crazy.
Because you all through the night.
Nice. So like there's like things you could like, do you leave the Starcruiser and go into like Batuu, or like
Yes.
I've heard there's like things you do in the Starcruiser, like missions and activities, or how does a day in the Starcruiser look?
So the first day you're kind of getting acclimated to the ship. It is luxurious. When I say like it is first class, and it wasn't just like an expensive trip just because it was Star Wars. Everything was first class. You arrive, everybody is valet. Even when I arrived at like the guard gate, the guard was really great and interactive because I rolled up, I said bright suns. He's like, "Oh, we don't see bright suns here. That's on Batuu." Here we say good journey. And I also, because I showed up in my First Order attire because I wanted everybody to know right off the bat who I was aligned with. He had a droid with him who was like nervous to see me. And he's like, "Oh, what are you guys here celebrating?" And I said, "I don't know, girls' weekend." And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, gets on his radio. He's like, "Hey, yep, want to let you know they're coming. They're here." It was so funny. We rolled up. They valet, they take all of our bags, tag it. They give you what they call an M band, which is a magic band, basically. And they take your photo with the Galactic Starcruiser sign. They offer you, I guess, sort of like in theme snacks and stuff just while you're waiting to get in, because we showed up early, of course, because I wanted to get in the second the doors opened.
Nice.
They gave us like frozen grapes and just beverages and stuff while we were waiting. And when they let you in, there's this whole like pre-story where they're basically like, "Okay, if there's an emergency, here's what you do. Okay, but here's what happens if it's a real emergency."
Yeah. That's crazy.
Because there's like quote unquote emergencies where you have to meet up at your muster stations. So
okay.
And then like, okay, but if there's an actual emergency, here's what you have to do. And then you get escorted to your room. Like each group had their own cast member escorting them to their room. Well, first you take a transport up to the ship, which was incredible. And I don't think I realized it until my final day that I think it's actually an elevator. The way they did it, it looked like you were going up into space and, docking at the ship. You get escorted to your room, you unpack, and then there's a lunch waiting for you. And then, as soon as we were done with lunch, I noticed that there was like, I don't know, like a screen there that I tried like tapping my magic band on to see what would happen. And because it had said like crew only, So I tried tapping my magic band on it and like pushing buttons and stuff. And then all of a sudden I get a notification on my phone. Ooh, I see that you're a bit of a rebel or something like that. So it's
Oh
really
wow.
interactive. Like you start getting missions right off the bat, and it starts asking you questions. Like when you first when you check in, they tell you to download this app to your data pad, which is your mobile phone, and you answer a whole bunch of questions. And I let them know right off the bat, I am with the First Order. My aunt tried to be with like the Jedi path, and then my other two women who are in the room wanted to go with the Resistance. But because she wound up answering questions the same as her sister and my friend, they all wound up going the Resistance path. But there are multiple paths you could take. You could either be First Order, which I chose because, I had to be on whichever side Kylo Ren was on. And the Resistance, there's the Scoundrel path. So there's a character with kind of like a Han personality where they're kind of skirting both sides. There's one that's like a love story musical one. I don't even know how you get on that one. And then there's a Jedi path where I did not know this. There's a room that is a climate simulator where it's basically you just go outside. And they say, this is to get you acclimated to the Batuu atmosphere because Batuu has 3 suns. So you might want to, experience what it's like to have 3 suns. Because that's what it is like in Florida.
Wow.
When did you choose being the first, or like when do you make that decision?
I had made that decision before I arrived. Personally.
You didn't even need to know. But is there like, when you book your ticket or whatever, did they send you a slip in the mail being like, fill this form out?
So it's after you arrive on your data pad, they start asking you questions. Like the captain is like, oh, hello, welcome to the Chandrilla Starline Halcyon Starcruiser. We're so excited for your visit. I hear that there might be some First Order activity on the ship. How do you feel about that? And it gives you like some predetermined answers, which is like, oh no, that's horrible. Or I don't have allegiances, or I trust whatever the Force does, or, I believe in the First Order's cause, which obviously I chose I believe in the First Order's cause.
Wow, that's crazy. So like, what was I gonna also ask? Oh shoot. Anyways, it sounds awesome. Oh, how was the food? Like Disney's usually pretty good, but like being a Disney aficionado, like where does it stack up on other resorts?
So I actually really liked the food. Something I thought was really cool was in the atrium area. It was, they had 3 different types of water for you to choose from that, you could fill up your cup at any given time. There was also free blue and green milk that you can just serve yourself at any given time. They had snacks, just throughout the day. And in the bar area, they had snacks that were also complimentary, included with your voyage, which I feel like if they were to redo it, they could probably make some of these things like add on. Like if I wanted the cheese plate that came with like multiple different kinds of cheeses, but they were, all different colors so that they look Star Warsy. And they were in a smoker, so it was like a big glass covering, and then it was all smoky, and then they take the glass off, and then the smoke dissipates, and then there's your cheese and crackers, and it was just really well done. That was delicious. And the food that they had every night was really good. I think the only thing I didn't really love was the peanut butter and jelly, which it kind of looked like a bao bun, but with peanut butter and jelly inside, which I had been told was really good, but it wasn't my thing. But everything else was delicious.
That sounds like a Disney thing where you're like, it's like when you go to the fair, it's like the most random food together. And you're like, this could be very, very good. That's wild though, bao bun with peanut butter and jelly. I appreciate all your posts of what you were wearing that weekend. I gotta ask, did you make your own costumes or did you buy all? Like, just like everything looks so authentic. I'm like,
So the Mon Mothma outfits, I just bought those, cosplay
gotcha.
outfits as is from like
Mhm.
Etsy or something like that.
Mhm.
Because if you buy it off of Amazon or a generic, costume place like a Spirit Halloween, it's going to be cheap. So I wanted like the real stuff.
The
So
real
that
stuff, yeah.
that I bought, and then my first order attire that was stuff that I had cobbled together from a bunch of different things. So it wasn't like I sewed it, but it was like I picked different pieces to put together to look like a first order outfit. And then the hat I just bought on Batuu, but prior to coming.
The hat looks so good. I was like, I didn't even know you could buy a hat. But I've also been there, so I'm like, I know the merchandise there is crazy. Like all the stuff in the background did any of that get bought on the Starcruiser, or is it mostly just in the Batuu?
Well, Chewbacca and his Life Day outfit you had to buy, on planet. But everything else is and Ben Solo is from on planet. But everything else is from the Starcruiser, including my drink. So this is one of the drinks that I got on the ship. Yeah. It came in this glass. So to get the glass was like $30 or something like that. But like your drink was $30 and the glass was included. So I'm like, well, yeah, I'm gonna get that.
Yeah. I have my Ewok tiki mug just sitting over there, or like the Endor one that you can get at the bar. It's amazing how they'll rope you in like immediately. Any regrets about going on the Starcruiser, or has it all blossomed?
Biggest regret is that I can't go again. Like I said, my biggest regret was not booking an earlier cruise so that I could try to get on another cruise, because I had heard, oh, you do it once and then that's it. Like I feel like that's what people who haven't been on it say. Like, oh, you go on once, you already know the storyline. There's no reason to go again. Yeah. I know the First Order storyline that I took. I didn't even know there was a love story, like musical thing going on. I didn't know that in the climate simulator that if you took the Jedi path, they taught you how to make the rocks levitate. I was like,
no
what?
Way.
Those rocks levitate? Because I was with the First Order and I had seen that people had like stacked up their rocks. I pushed them over. Just I mean like that.
That's amazing. Like, just to like, I've been on Rise of the Resistance, which has a whole thing before you even get on the ride. Is that experience of getting into that? It's a Star Destroyer in Rise of the Resistance. Is it similar or better when you get on the Starcruiser?
It's better. Yeah.
Wow.
I would say it was better for sure.
I have
very impressive.
I gotta ask, the price of it though was kind of extraordinary, right? It was a lot. I don't even know how much it was, but
it was $6,000 a room, but split between 4 people. That was like $1,500 each.
So the prices, now that I know the price, but it turned a lot of people away from it, right? Like a lot of people like, that's over my budget. Now that you've experienced it, do you think that it was wise to make the rooms that costly? Could they have brought it down a little bit? Do you think that there was maybe a better way to market it to people to get them to go see it? Because obviously you're kind of selling me on it, and I was like, but like it just seems like they failed somewhere in it. And
they failed in marketing. The price, 100%.
Yeah, the price of
they marketed it like it's a Star Wars hotel, and that's it. And if you're thinking I'm paying $1,500 a person for 2 nights in a hotel, that sucks. Or that's just wildly expensive. I get it, but it is so much more than a hotel. And like I said, everything was so first class, and then having all those snacks included, just the way that the cast members interacted with you, the full storyline, the immersion, getting to do the lightsaber training and the bridge training. And when I was with the First Order, we took over the ship and we shut everything down and we took over the bridge. And like there was just so much going on at any one time. And even the cast members who weren't the quote unquote actors, like the cast members just like in the shop were amazing to interact with. I had heard that there were special pins, that if you were with the resistance, you could get these pins. So there was like a secret code word to get the pin. So I went up to the cast member who was at the store and I said, ignite the spark, which was the secret code word, which is fine for me to say now. It's a spoiler because nobody's going on it anymore. So I told her, ignite the spark. And she went over to like the secret cabinet that was like underneath and had to like pull it out and like, looked around, make sure nobody was watching.
Wow.
And pulled it and was about to pull it out before my aunt goes, no, don't give it to her. She's with the First Order. And she slams the door shut. And it's like, is that true? Me? I would never be with the First Order. That's ridiculous.
Oh my
God. Hat on.
No, it was the last night. So I was in my Mon Mothma outfit, not my First Order outfit. So it was a lot of haggling back and forth, trying to insist that I would never be with the First Order.
Did you get it?
Oh, I got the pins. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure they wouldn't turn you away.
Hold on, I gotta find it because it's a special thing.
It sounds like it's like a murder mystery, but over like 2 days. Oh,
So
that's right.
That's the pin, but then like secretly you can open it up and then you
wow.
That's so cool.
Resist.
I love it.
Wow. I get it. I think some people just like go to Disney and they don't understand like, why am I paying all this money? But it's just like, if you really like take the time, I think people's expectations are so high at times. It's like, if you already see it as like a hassle to spend money just to get into the park, then you're not going to have a good time. You're not. It's not going to be great. But like when my wife and I go, that's how we've like fallen in love with it. It's like, we're just going. We're not going to set any expectations. It's like, I think the only time my wife has been mad was trying to understand Genie Plus when it was first. Fast Pass, but like before Genie Plus.
Oh yeah.
Like once we understood it, it's like, and then like what you're saying with just like, there's the experience plus there's extra stuff if you really explore. Like that's Disney. Like if you pay, yes, you have to pay for a magic band or whatever. But on certain parts of the park, if you touch something, things happen. And it's like there's a whole storyline happening. It's like it's wild. So it's like I got to ask you this because you're a Disney expert, and I found it fascinating when you read the history of like the park. It's like there's certain things that like fail. Like it's like this isn't the first thing that's been shut down. Like there's parts of that park in like Disney World where like there's this like abandoned parks. What do you think is going to happen with this? Is it going to just go away, or?
If I had to guess, they are going to figure out a way to make everything add-ons. So you can go, you can stay in the hotel, but I still think that just staying in the hotel is going to be wildly expensive because there's only 100 rooms. So if you figure there's only 100 rooms, they're going to still make those rooms like $1,000 a night. So like minimum, because I think my annual pass holder discount 8 years ago for like my 1 year wedding anniversary was $700 a night at the Polynesian. So it's probably even more than that now. And that was with my AP discount. I'm sure it's even more than that now for like the Grand Floridian. So thinking about how expensive just the hotel rooms are going to be. And then if you want to go to the bar, they're probably going to upcharge those drinks more than they were. The sabak table, I never actually got to play sabak because the table was always full, but it was hollow sabak, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah. But I got to watch other people playing and it looked like fun.
That's so awesome. That's awesome.
You probably, if you want to do a sabak tournament, that's going to be extra. If you want to do the lightsaber training, that's going to be extra. If you want to do the bridge training, that's going to be extra. So, and like the dinner show, because they had, basically their version of Taylor Swift came on board and did a concert.
Right.
So if you want to do the dinner show, that'll be extra. And then if I had my way or my hope, maybe like once a month or once every other weekend or something like that, they would do the full experience where if you wanted the full experience, you could go on and do it. That would be my hope.
It's not a bad idea. Like, But you're optimistic that like if they bring it back, it'll still be a hotel. They won't like retrofit it into some kind of other Star Wars experience.
Yeah, my other thought is they will take what the hotel space is and turn that into more lightsaber training that they can charge people for.
Yeah. Well, it's just like as much as I wouldn't really want to spend that much money on it. You're right. I have heard that like it's just this. It's the exact same amount to go to the park for like 2 to 3 days and stay on the resort. You're gonna pay at least almost $1,000 per person, depending on what you're doing. So it's like the amount that you are paying for is not that exorbitant.
And you know, again, I got to split it with 3 other women. I lived here. I didn't have to take a flight anywhere.
Sure. Yeah.
So for me, it was worth every penny. You know, I could see how if someone was like $6,000 because I got to bring my spouse and our 2 kids, that's crazy. Luckily, my husband's not as crazy as me, so he was willing to stay at home with the kids while mommy went to space. And then he got his own weekend, and he went to Toronto. That was his weekend.
Which they call the Disney World of the North. That's what they call Toronto, Disney World of the North. Everyone knows that. It's wild what you're saying about this because I'm just like, because I heard about it and I was like, it wasn't really my thing. I was like, whatever, it's not for me. That's fine. And then they released it, and I didn't think I didn't even know what the money was. I just knew it was expensive. Brock said it on a Hollow News once, and I was just like, and I forgot. But that was, again, it wasn't my thing. And then I saw videos of like when they had like the sneak previews for like the media and stuff go in. And it wasn't really doing anything for me. I'm like, this isn't my thing. Because it looked like exactly what you said, Desi, where it was like, this is just a hotel and everything's Star Wars. And I'm like, well, I'm like, why don't, but what you're saying is like, there's a story, like it was a murder mystery where you're like, it's a story, you're a part of this story, and you got to figure out. That is, to me, a lot more enticing than, hey, here's some aliens, but they're just people in costumes singing and stuff like that. That would be fun atmosphere for when you're a part of the story, as opposed to I'm going to spend all this money to just sit in a hotel, which again, they're not really outside, right? The windows are phony. They're false windows, right? Faux windows, we say in Toronto, faux windows. And so it's like what you're saying was never conveyed in anything that I read about this Starcruiser at all.
I know. Yeah. I think that people hate on it because they don't understand what it is, and Disney didn't even know how to explain to people what it was without maybe giving it away. So it was truly a wonderful, one-of-a-kind experience that it blew my mind, and I would do it again, and I think it was worth the money.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you got to see it before it like went away. So, but I totally get what you mean though. Like I've been there, and it's like, this is wild. Like the 2 Star Wars rides are like the most amazing rides I've ever been on, and it's just like, wow. And Disney spends that money to like improve their. I mean, we did a news story where they're like some robotics thing made a new droid that actually does move around and stuff. And I'm like, and then the next day I'm like, oh, I saw the video. They're like, they actually do have it at the thing. I'm like,
it's a Cal Kestis's droid. What's its name?
BD1.
BD1, yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, well, and it's not just wheels. It's not an R2 that wheeling itself around.
No, it's
has
fully
locomotion.
Bipedal motion. Yeah.
I'm like, have you seen that yet, or just seen videos of it?
I've just seen videos of it because I think it's only at Disneyland right now, unfortunately.
Oh, right.
The lesser of the 2 Disney. That's what the lesser. I've never been to the one in California, so it is the lesser. I only go to the top notch.
I've been to the one in California. Just for me personally, I thought it was lackluster because I walked in and I saw the castle and I just started laughing and I was like, "Where's the rest of it?" It's basically the size of a large house. It doesn't look like a castle at all. Yeah.
Well, it's old. What other takeaways do you have, like, for? Like, I'm just trying to think how they didn't market it properly. That's what's driving me nuts right now. Is the idea that it was so cool and interactive that they didn't like.
I loved that different choices that you made could affect the story, and actors had to think on the fly and make changes, and you know, for example, there was one time I happened across a guy from the Resistance stealing some coaxium, and I was like, Lieutenant, look, this mechanic over here is stealing the coaxium. And because I alerted the First Order to it, that probably changed how the story played out. I thought that was really cool.
Choose your own adventure, man. I've waited for this my whole life, and now I'll never get to experience it in real time.
Did
you get to meet Kylo?
I didn't meet him. There was a point in time. This was probably my favorite part, just for me as a Reylo. When we took over the bridge, the lieutenant called up his next in line, I think maybe colonel. He called the colonel and was like, "We're here on the ship. We've taken it over. Rey is on board." And the colonel's like, "She means nothing to me." And then Kylo like shoves him out of the way and pops in and is like, "She means something to me." And he's like, "We're coming." So I'm like, "Oh my God."
You're like, worth it. Book the next.
But
book next week.
I know that people complained that it's sequel trilogy. To be honest, even though I am a huge Reylo, I'm probably the biggest sequel trilogy fan that I know, other than maybe you guys, other than, the ending of The Rise of Skywalker. I didn't even care. I didn't care that it was Kylo and Rey. I was more invested in the captain of the ship, Gaia, the singer, the Lieutenant Croy, the First Order guy, like the characters who were on the ship and the droids that I interacted with, like SK, all of them were fantastic. Like those characters mattered more to me and more to the story than Kylo and Rey. I mean, Chewbacca was there too, but everybody loves Chewbacca and he's from all of the storylines. So I don't think that it matters what timeline it's in. If they made it, original trilogy, maybe more people would come, more people would show up, more people would spend the money. But honestly, if they had swapped out Darth Vader for Kylo Ren or vice versa, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter because that part of the storyline is only at the very end and isn't a big deal of my experience.
I feel like they don't they don't seem to trust Star Wars as a brand fully, because if you remember when Batuu was coming out, it was going to be original trilogy, and then Iger saw the dailies for The Force Awakens and changed it to the sequel trilogy, and now this is like sequel trilogy. And what you're saying makes sense, because when you're talking about it, I don't even think of any Star Wars characters because you're just in the Star Wars world. It's and it's almost like they need to trust the brand more than the characters because they're obviously using Kylo and Rey to attract people to come to the Starcruiser, but that's not what the attraction is. The attraction is being a part of the Star Wars universe. It's like I haven't been to Batuu, but when they keep saying it, I'm like, but when Mandalorian came, I'm like, how do you bring a Mandalorian? And then all of a sudden he's at the park, right? And Grogu's at the park, and Ahsoka's at the park.
I just saw them for the first time like a week or two ago, because I think prior to the Starcruiser closing, they didn't want to bring him over because it would have messed with the timeline. Which is why it was okay to bring him and Boba Fett and Fennec Shand into Disneyland, because they didn't have the Starcruiser for it to mess up with their time frame. And now that Starcruiser is closed, unfortunately, we do get to have Mando and Grogu there, who was adorable, by the way.
What's Grogu like?
He's just cute. He's, in his baby talk, and they have Pedro Pascal's voice over,
Wow.
Oh my God.
So
it's actually Pedro Pascal.
It is.
Hello.
He lives in he's actually walking around Disney. He's like, we were on strike. I needed a job. We did it.
And
have to be everywhere.
You do have like your one excursion to Batuu, and I wish that I had spent less time on Batuu, honestly. You get the free lightning lanes for Smuggler's Run and Rise of the Resistance. And you can go on more missions on Batuu, but I wish that I had gone back to the ship and done more missions there. But I did I did go to Oga's Cantina while we were on Batuu. And because I was with the First Order, I had like a special mission where I was like, Lieutenant Croy sent me to ask for, Oga. And so I got like a special QR code that I scanned, and I got another mission for, which was really cool. So that was probably the best part of going down to Batuu, was having the extra mission. And even like on Rise of the Resistance, I was like talking with Lieutenant Croy and being like, oh, the Resistance has taken over the ship, and their base is on Takodana, figured it out. So it was cool to be part of the story.
Wow. That's wow. I'm extremely jealous that you got to experience that. It's wild. Oh,
it was awesome.
Did you get any jewelry?
I did, look.
Oh, bang. Nice.
That's awesome. Have to bring it up. No one will know why. We have to. It just sounds like so much fun that I just didn't like, because when you came out of it, you're like, it was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, but it's a hotel where you're like in a room. I don't understand. I saw the videos. I'm like, I don't understand.
And even after I had booked it, I was still skeptical. It was kind of like a FOMO thing where it's like, well, I have to go now just because it's going away. But I'm still not entirely sure it's going to be worth the price. I'm sure I'll have fun, but I don't know. And then after I was on it, I was like, this was incredible. This was the greatest experience of my entire life, other than having kids, to throw that out there. But like, it was amazing. And it was something that was not marketed well enough for people to understand that it actually was worth the money and was so much more than just a hotel.
How did everybody else in your group feel?
All of us felt the same way.
Agent. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, all of us. And I think one of my aunts is almost as crazy as me. She's got holocrons and she's got multiple, crystals for her lightsabers and stuff like that. So she's almost as crazy as I am. And then my other aunt is almost as crazy as I am about Disney parks. So I had the one Star Wars aunt, the one Disney parks aunt, and then the travel agent, who obviously loves Disney parks, but isn't really a Star Wars person. And all of us were like, we love it. We would go again. And we told the woman who was our travel agent, like, as soon as you hear if they are opening this up again, book us. Like, we'll make it work. Just book us any date you can get us in. If they open this up again, we will do it.
That's funny. Do you think they would try to like get as many travel agents in that experience? Because it's like they're talking to people. It's like, do you like Star Wars? This is it. Like, because you go to a travel agent and they're like, oh, try this hotel. Don't do this. They give you real advice and you listen to them. So it's just like that would have. It is very weird that like as much as they were like, it's coming. They didn't really show things. Like I remember seeing videos and pictures from people who go, but like depending on what you're seeing, it's probably not great. It's just like a lot of jagged videos. And you're like, what's happening?
So they had invited, I think, some bloggers and vloggers to come out ahead of time, and do some filming and stuff before it was open publicly. And I felt like maybe people who had heard these great reviews from bloggers and vloggers were like, I don't believe you. I don't believe it's actually worth the money. You're just saying that because you didn't have to pay for it because Disney brought you here and it was free.
Yeah. Good point. Ugh. It's the happiest place on earth. Why would anybody lie about something? It's like, oh, the churros are terrible. I'm like,
it's incredible. And I wish I knew how to. Hello? Is it me? Am I frozen?
Go back and...
No, you're there.
Hello?
Hey, you're still there.
Who said the churros were horrible? I'm stuck on this.
I'm not a huge churro person personally.
Yeah. Anyways. All right. I mean, all I'm getting right now is angry that I didn't go. So I feel like we need to bring the segment to an end.
I've got Bob Iger in my ear as usual.
Oh,
Is he firing Kathleen Kennedy because the Starcruiser is closed?
She really botched that one up. Yeah, and we got to check the board, Brock.
Fired.
Second time today, Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving, KK. Oh, by the way, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for taking time away from your big,
happy belated Thanksgiving several weeks.
Over a month, yeah. But you know what does it matter? We celebrate with enough time to listen to Christmas carols before Halloween. That's why we do it so early. We're all in.
And also Happy Life Day.
Yes, Happy Life Day.
Yes. That was a little while ago. Do you go to? Before we leave, do you go to Batuu on Life Day every year now? Is that like a thing, or I guess around Life Day?
I didn't go on Life Day this year because it was on a Friday, but I went like the weekend before, and so that's when I got my Chewbacca action figure. But now they are also selling like Life Day food, like you can get cheesy orbs that they're selling for Life Day.
I have the cookbook. It'll happen.
The other big thing that's going on right now on Batuu is everybody who went on the Starcruiser is leaving ribbons on the gate to where the transport used to be to get to the Starcruiser.
Wow.
So it's kind of becoming a shrine and homage from everybody who went.
Wow.
Wow. Well,
that's awesome. Brock, let's get a DeLorean and go check it out.
I'm still hoping it comes back in some capacity.
Yeah.
So am I now. This sounds like it'd be fun.
Amazing. Well, thanks for sharing your experience with us. It's always awesome to have you on the show. Is there anything you want to plug before we end, or
like a Loki review?
You can. Oh yeah, you can find me on the WDWNT TV channel. We, have comedy shows. We review things from Disney Plus, and we have a show where we review things from the parks called Park Center. It's kind of like Sports Center, but we just talk about Disney park stuff. So.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you for coming and sharing it all. And
hey, scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.